They smell like
manufacturing, but also like a little bit like grandpa.
Hello, everyone. This is Jen from Tested.
And Kate from Tested.
We're here in, a familiar space, but this is our first video for the new Tested Team channel. Kate, you went on a trip last year, and I want to know everything about it. We have not had a chance to debrief. Also, where was my invitation? But yeah, you went. Tell me about your trip.
Yeah. So last summer I went to Japan, which was a dream. I have been once before in college, and I have been really wanting to go back. And the thing I knew the whole time on my way there is I want to do some shopping while I'm there. Luckily, we know somebody who had some very good recommendations. So when I talked to Adam, he freaked out and was like, here's all the things you need to do.
Here's the list.
Yeah, here's where you need to go shopping. Tell anybody you're with to just give you space and let you focus. And I definitely did that.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you got solo time. I have such anxiety about shopping with other people because I'm I want to do this at my own pace. Yeah. I don't want to be worried about what someone else wants to do. Exactly. Same with museums, but
yeah, right?
Yeah. So where did you go first of all? On the shopping piece of your trip, where were your target destinations? What were some of Adam's recommendations?
Well, the number one recommendation was, at the time he went, it was called Tokyo Han's. Now it is just called Hans. So it's spelled hands, and it is a massive department store. So at first I was like, well, it's a department store. So what, is special about that? Except for the fact that there are, 10 floors and so many specialty departments. What? So every single floor you go to, you'll be like, oh, well, it's, just stationery. And then you're like, oh my God, look at these pens. Everything you see is interesting and unique. And you're just like, well, I just need one of these. I just need to grab one of these, and I just started collecting everywhere I went. And I had this little hand basket with me, which became apparent very quickly was not going to be large enough for everything I was buying. And by the end of it, I think my forearm was bruised from that metal digging into me, lugging this thing up all the stairs.
So what did you find at the department store?
So at the department store, I probably found the most things. It's worth noting, I went to the department store. Then later I went to a region called Akihabara, which is sort of the cool local geek area, and they're full of model shops. And I was like, ooh, this is going to be right up my alley. And I went there, but I have to say, I don't actually do that many model kits myself. I do them for work. Sometimes literally somebody pays me to put together a model kit, and I do it and I have fun. But it's not something I spend my spare time doing.
It feels like work.
Yeah, so I appreciate it. I can go and admire the work and the craftsmanship and be excited at the harder to find things. I have friends that are into it, and so I did go hunting for a few rare model kits for my friends. But when I was there, I didn't actually find that many things in that specific area. So I'd say I found the most things at the department store.
Okay.
I did find a Tamiya store, which Tamiya is probably the number one model paint brand that I use, which again means it's accessible here in the States. So it's not that rare, but just getting to go into a Tamiya only store or not having to worry about, oh, will they have the color I need? That would be my dream, would be to have a Tamiya store in my neighborhood that I could just go to at a moment's notice. And
just gonna make a quick run to Tamiya. I gotta pick up a couple of new colors, refill some.
Exactly. Yeah. So Tamiya, I did find a few number of painting supplies that I was pretty into. And then Akihabara, I liked getting to see everything they had, even if I didn't take much home.
Yeah.
But Tokyo Han's definitely was the number one place I got most of my stuff.
So that's kind of the overview of the main places that you hit. Yeah. And these are recommendations that Adam made and entire districts that are focused on stores and supplies for this particular interest.
I put out a call to my followers on Instagram before I went and was like, if anybody has any must-see places, let me know. I got some really great responses. So I went to some of those specific model shops. Now, there were some cool things at some of the model shops, like doll supplies. Like people who make their own children's dolls. And so there are things like individual eyes that you can get and like tons of wigs, like doll hair everywhere. And I was so into that. But I also was sitting there being like, okay, my suitcase space is limited and I can't justify bringing home all of these doll wigs. So I didn't get many of those, but I was pretty interested in the fact that they had them available. Again, I wish that was something that, you know, when the project arose and I just needed those tiny eyes, I could just go there and get them in whatever shade I needed.
Yeah. I feel like those exploration trips are sort of just recon. Like you're seeing what's out there because there's so much stuff that like you don't ever see in its individual parts like that. So knowing that like, oh, that's a thing that I can buy off the shelf and figure out a way to incorporate into my project that you wouldn't have thought of before.
Right? Like just knowing what the individual items are that are out there means that, yeah, next time I have a project where I'm like, I don't know, it's like I need hair, but I need it small. Like now I know that that's an option.
Speaking of small, so I'm looking at the things that you got and it's like a very small footprint of things. So like, show me what you got.
Okay. Let's start with, this was something I was very excited about. I got them in a number of sizes. So what do they call them? Reverse paint clips.
They look like the package. I like the packaging. It looks like a candy or like a little treat or like a
I mean, it is a treat for me. Yeah. Give me a box of these on any holiday and I'll be so happy. So they came in two different styles, I believe. So this is one. Would you pull one of those out? And then I'll pull one of these out and I'll show you how they work. Yeah, this is our ASMR video, right?
Yeah. Okay, so, these look familiar-ish, but not in this format. Like this looks like a little alligator clip.
Exactly. So if any of you have ever seen any painting videos I do, you know that when I paint small parts, usually my go-to thing is I take a block of foam, I take toothpicks or bamboo skewers, I stick them in there, and then I like hang my part on it, or I stick a stick into it, and that way I can fully paint around it.
I learned that from you. I'd never seen that until I saw you do it here.
Now, this is something that I've never seen before, which are tools that are specifically for that purpose. And they even sell little like plastic grates that you can stick these into.
Ooh.
I'm not fancy enough to actually have that. I still just use my trash foam. But so these are two different styles of the same thing. So this one, like you said, is a traditional alligator clip. So if I had a part that I just needed to grab onto, that's how I would do it. If I had a part that was hollow in the middle, say, you know, for lack of a better example, a straw, you could stick this inside of it and then it opens up and it keeps it there by tension.
Oh,
yeah, so there you go. You have that.
So there's like little teeth on the outside so that it grabs.
Exactly. It can grab inside a lip of whatever your part is. And the fact is these are very robust. I'm usually using things like toothpicks, so this is much thicker and stronger. And they're going to be reusable. I bought so many because I'd never seen them before, and I'm afraid I'll never see them again. So I was like, I just need to stock up for the rest of my life right now. But if I'm honest, I'll probably just end up using the same 5 ones of these over and over and over again. So if you ever come by my shop, you can take one home as a souvenir.
Borrow some.
Yeah.
These are awesome.
But yeah, this is one of the things that I remember like absolutely losing my mind in the store. I'm like, oh my God, that's a thing? Why didn't I know about this? And they come in different sizes. So like some of these say small, some say medium, some say slim. And actually, if you see, I just noticed that they have a photo of it on the package here. You can see that is the little grid base that you're supposed to stick them into, and you can see how the parts are displayed on top. It's very, very cool and very much up my alley. So this was one of the first things that I found that I was like, yes. So very, very, very happy about that.
Yeah, these are cool. So a lot of the stuff that you got is from Hans, right?
Yes. Something else I found that I think you are going to really like is I was checking out the local blade talent there, and I found this Olfa. And now
I love
we're
Olfa.
all familiar with Olfa,
Yeah.
right? And if I'm honest, I could probably find this locally, but I've never seen it before.
I've thoroughly combed through like the entire Olfa available stuff on Amazon and Blick and like all the places you would get it. I've never seen this. So
Okay, that
what
makes
is
me
it?
feel good about taking up the luggage space with it then.
What is
So, as you can see, there's a bit of a T shape up here, and it's the blade that's going across right there. And there's even a photo at the top where you can see a piece of cardboard. So, I'm going to open this. I haven't opened it yet. So, this is like a
Live
momentous,
unboxing.
Yeah. You're all witnessing this right now. And we have a piece of cardboard here. So, I want to give it a shot.
Olfa makes such good quality tools.
Oh, they do. So, since this is the blade coming across, you can use it almost like a hook knife and you can drag it through. So let's try it.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Okay, and that was quite easy. So, if any of you are like me, I'm constantly taking flaps off of boxes so that I can use it to mix paint or mix glue or whatever. And usually I just rip it with my hands and it rips sideways and, you know, it's not nice and clean at all. This seems like it would be a very good way to just like rip some of those things off. I think this would also be good for things like a thin styrene. Like anything you've used a hook knife for. I don't know if anybody's ever used like a hook knife where you put it in, you gouge and you pull and it creates a scored line that you can then snap.
Ah, okay.
Now, if it's a particularly thick piece of plastic, this probably wouldn't work for that still. But if it's a little bit thinner, maybe even if it's just like a film that you're working with, I don't know. I'm really excited about getting to try this out. And with anything that I buy that has expendable parts like blades, that seems unique and unusual, I go ahead and buy the refill blades because
Smart.
since I've never seen this knife before, it means I've never seen the blades before, which, you know, I'm a strong proponent of changing your blades frequently to save your life. So I went ahead and grabbed some extra blades to come home with me.
There's a couple of things on here that I'm like, I don't know what this is for. Like, there's a little nubbin on the end here that looks like it might be for something. Oh yeah. This is for like,
it's a box opener.
this is like when you get your Amazon package and you're freaking out and you can't wait to open it, but you don't want to go get the blade. You can just the other thing I'm noticing is it has these little protector things on the side, and we were talking about this earlier. Like, I will. A lot of times. I have so many cutting mats and so many work surfaces, but like I end up just crouched on the floor cutting things, and instead of getting up to go get a cutting mat or a proper surface to cut on, I just will grab my utility knife and like, well, it's gonna leave a scar, but like whatever, we're just, you know.
Yeah.
But this would protect the surface underneath because it's got these little like, I don't know what to call them, little like caps on the end on either side of the blade.
It's going to save you from accidentally cutting anything. It's going to save you from dulling your blade.
Yes.
You know what? And there is another image back here of what looks like plastic wrapping around a box.
Yes.
And you can use this to cut through that. So if you have something that has been shrink wrapped or whatever around there, I think that would help you cut through that as well.
Yeah, or like the boxes where it says like don't open with a knife because you can mark what's inside of the box once it goes through. So like this would be perfect for that. It's not gonna
exactly. If you snipped
inside
the side tape and then you could use this to drag through it, that would be perfect.
Awesome. Okay, so Olfa. Cool.
Some kind of
knife.
Yeah. There is a number here, 239B. So if that helps you in any way, that's what this is. I'm sure it's possible to order some of these things off the internet. It's a great tool. But I just like the fact that I never knew it existed. So whatever part of the internet I'm on didn't show me this. So thanks a lot, internet.
What else do we have?
Ooh, so this is one that probably is one of my favorites that I got. And it's still in the package, but it's only because I just put it back in there. I've been using it. This is, I don't know what they call it. I call it my little scraper buddy. It, in most respects, just looks like kind of a palette knife, right? it has a beveled edge, almost like a chisel. And the edge is quite sharp. I don't know. I mean, I don't exactly want to like put my finger fully across it in case it wants to cut me, but it's sharp enough. So they market it as you have something stuck down, like a sticker or something, and you need to get under there and really pry it up. This is very good for that. I've been finding it really helps with materials. So say I get excess glue on something, say I get excess silicone, paint, whatever. You know, I've finished a project and my table surface is a mess. This is really good at going sideways and getting under anything you need. Look, I just pulled up something that was on here. This one I really like. It's a simple tool. It's very lightweight. And it's sort of like, now that I have it, I don't know how I lived without it.
Yeah.
Because it's thinner than any of the scrapers that I've ever used before.
And it's flush on the bottom, right? So that angle, that little raised, the fact that the handle is raised means that you can be flush against the work surface and not have to like gouge into it.
Exactly. It really helps keep everything flat and steady. I really like it. Again, I don't know what they call it. I call it my little scraper buddy.
Little Scraper Buddy by Nito?
Nito? Yeah.
Nito. That was... Don't listen to me. Okay, what else do we have?
Okay, so this is kind of a random measuring tool / assembly tool.
Work together.
Yeah, so I look at it as almost, if anybody's ever used various kinds of squares before, you know that there is a usefulness to this. I really like having like a machinist square, whatever, when you need to put, or 1, 2, 3 blocks if you need to glue things together. So I saw this and instantly thought, this is gonna help me when I'm assembling pieces. I'm able to have 2 straight edges to hold against. Obviously, it also has measuring markings on it. Now, they are in metric, but as I was saying to Jen earlier, I was like, I don't know metric that well, but if I'm in a project and I go, okay, my thing just needs to be this big, it doesn't really matter if that's an imperial or a metric.
This big is this big.
Yeah, that is just like, that's the size I need it to. So as long as I have something that will keep me consistent from what I need to what I'm executing, it doesn't really matter. And obviously the math is a lot easier in metric. So yeah, this was one that I just thought was fun. You tend to do a bit more of like some fabrication work than I do. Is there anything you could see a usefulness? Like, you can see a few diagrams in here of some of the things they do with it.
I definitely could. I have a couple different speed squares and carpenter squares, and that might be the same thing. But whenever I'm marking material to take over to the saw, a lot of times like I will set it up in the assembly and kind of like rough it in place and mark where the cut needs to be, but then you have to transfer the mark from, one face to another face to another face. And so this is really good for that type of thing. And it has both the 90 and the 45 on the corner here, so you can mark your miters. I would definitely use something like this.
Yeah, that was a fun one that I, like, at the time, I didn't know exactly what I'd use it for, but I was like, I'll just grab it just in case. I'm sure I'll find something to use it for. All right. Now I have a whole, this one. This one is really cool. This is my bag o' brushes. Now, the thing that was interesting was anything that I bought from Hans that they considered expendable, they would bag up, put into this, wrap it up, and send it down to the front desk for me. And on here it says it's tax-free. So I believe it's because I am not Japanese, and so some of these things were tax-free for me, but it meant because of customs, they needed to separate it, and so it's not something that I would necessarily use while in country. So they bagged it all up, they taped it up. I had a few other items in here as well. And then it wasn't until I got home that I was able to open this all up.
I just realized what's weird about these. I was like, okay, they're chip brushes, but check this out.
Oh yeah. Also, I wish you guys could smell them. They smell weird.
They smell like
manufacturing, but also like a little bit like grandpa.
They smell like mothballs.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. That's the grandpa for you.
This is weird. I don't know if when I used to wait tables, which I did, whenever older couples would come in for like a nice night out to dinner, occasionally it would be like, Grandpa pulled his nice suit out of the closet. And so that like every time you approach that table, it would smell strongly of mothballs. And it's very endearing. But yeah, this is one of those sensory memories. So yeah, tell me about these weird brushes.
So you can see they're marked with small, medium, large. And I believe, these are the centimeter measurements of how big they are. But they look like chip brushes, but I have to say, I'm gonna actually pull off the plastic one.
Can I touch one?
They are much higher quality, like more like a really nice, and I'm guessing this is synthetic.
Yeah,
but
this looks
like
synthetic.
a really nice synthetic house painting brush. So, and they're much thicker. They're very, very soft, and it feels like a quality. And I'm sitting here trying to pull at it because anybody who's used a chip brush knows. And I'm not getting any loose fibers. Oh, just one.
One. Yeah, I haven't gotten any yet.
But
they're like really soft.
Yeah. Obviously, the biggest thing about these is that they have this angle to them. And I'm constantly looking at ways of playing with ergonomics. And even though it's totally easy to take a regular chip brush and just tilt it whichever way you want to, I'm very much like, well, what if it works so much better like this? What if I'm like, instead of having to grab it around here and do this and like get in there, all that, like.
Well, I was just thinking too, for like say you're painting something, you know, in a, I don't know what to call this. It's not really a tight space, but like at a tight angle, you can get in there and paint this way instead of having a straight brush, which your fingers end up being in the way and you have to like tilt it. So this is
you
like
can get inside of places as well this way. Again, I'm sure that I would have been fine the rest of my life without ever having used one of these. But I just got so excited at the idea of a different way to paint. So I have not yet used them. Obviously, they were still in the packaging. I kind of can't wait to try them out on something and like report back on how they're different and how much I like them, which I'm guessing I'm going to. The other thing about them, like I said, is that they're such good qualities. I don't expect to be throwing these away.
Yeah.
You know, as much as I try to save my chip brushes, the fact is they just fall apart. Either the material that I've used in them has gummed them up so bad that they can't be cleaned, or all of the bristles are falling out, or like the ferrule is really poor quality, the handles come apart. So I'm just interested to see like, okay, are these going to be things that last me for quite a while?
Yeah. And you, I imagine, have brushes that are special for special purposes, that you're like, these are my nice brushes, and I only like care for them a lot more diligently than you would with like a throwaway chip brush.
Yes. So these are not going to be something that I'm necessarily, you know, dipping in whatever the heavy kind of adhesive epoxy type stuff. You know, this isn't that. I'm not going to be doing any fiberglassing with these.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But I will be excited the next time I have to slather on, because at this size, even the smallest one, that's going to be something that's not delicate work necessarily. So whenever I have something that takes, you know, a large amount of a base color paint, this is going to be what I pull out. And I'm kind of excited for that.
Very cool. I'm going to hold on to this one. It feels really
I know, it's very much like a comfort thing. Like I'm just going to sit here and like pet it like a cat.
This is my fidget toy for the day. Just
okay.
So what other consumables were in the bag that were tax-free?
I think that there might have been some glues in here.
Okay, yep.
Which actually I have one of the glues here. Let's look at it. This is still a mystery product to me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I can't tell you too much about it. It says here that it is instant adhesive. I believe with all the other stuff that was there, and I think with the translating I was doing on my phone, I believe it to be a cyanoacrylate, a super glue.
Oh, yeah.
However, one of the biggest differences is that it's black. I have always been interested in colored adhesive, and I don't have much experience in it. I mean, the most experience is like if I mix up some 2-part epoxy and I put a little color in it so that it like dries a different color. But even hot glue, I rarely use, the black glue sticks or even the creamy color. So I was just really curious to see, okay, does this act like the super glue that I've used before? And is it a really nice touch, say if I'm putting together a model kit or something that has black plastic pieces, and occasionally you get clear is so good for most things.
It is, but like it'll sometimes get that white residue if it doesn't dry perfectly without being agitated.
Yeah. Or maybe even I have a hole in something and I can use it somewhat like a filler.
Yeah.
Like gap filling cyno is a thing. So I'm just really curious to see how this works. This says it's Gaia Notes Material Series. So I'm really curious to see how it performs.
It looks like a freeze-dried food pack.
Is there astronaut ice cream in here?
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I haven't even opened it yet. So
we're opening it. Okay.
Let's see what's in here. It's sealed in the bottle still, so I don't think this is gonna, make its life any shorter.
Ooh. What's the viscosity? Like, does it?
Ooh, let's see. Ooh, and it's already cut. It's not, I'll use this as a,
ooh.
Oh, interesting. It's still almost clear. It's more like a smoke color.
Yeah. Does it need to be, like, is there pigment in it that it would need to be, like, shaken up?
Shook up.
We don't know what this...
I'm not reading the directions.
Don't know what this says. Let's see.
Let me try shaking it, see if it gets any darker.
Yeah, there's definitely some illustrations, but I can't tell what.
Let's try again right here. That looks maybe a little darker.
Yeah.
But
we'll have to
still somewhat transparent. And I'm very curious to see how it dries.
There's like a little moisture. I think that's what it is.
Cool.
A little moisture absorber in there. We'll have to pull up Google Translate and see what these instructions are telling us about how
I've done it all wrong. But as a whole, the consistency is very much like super glue. So that looks just like cyanoacrylate to me. I don't recommend this, but I just want to... Yeah, it smells like super glue.
That's what we're doing on Tested Team. We're sniffing glue.
I mean, sometimes you're just like, the biggest thing is I'll come across a little squeeze bottle and I go, okay, is this well done? Is this kicker? Is it alcohol? And so like that is my fastest way. Sometimes I'll just put it out there and you're not supposed to smell it directly, but I'll waft it like they taught you in science class. And you're like, oh, that's sweet. That's kicker. Like there's just different smells that help tell you that. Otherwise you're accidentally putting well done on your super glue products and it just doesn't go well.
Yeah. And it's got the little Ziploc bag so you can keep it.
Yeah.
Keep it fresh.
Keep it fresh. I always keep it fresh.
All right. So we have some more playful things here. What do we got?
These were all the little bits that I ended up grabbing from Hans that I just couldn't say no to. Obviously, I said I like masks.
Yeah.
So I got myself a little kitty cat mask. And it helps that it has bells on it.
Yeah.
I love storage containers for various things. You can change the dividers inside some of these. You never know when you have like either tiny screws or tiny 3D printed parts or anything really little that you need to transport beads. Yeah, bees. And you want to keep them safe. So I just like to always have a little bit something, especially when something comes shipped to me in a little box. I end up saving that too. It's just always a good idea to have. I really like collecting little organizers. I also picked up some random things like these shapes. Sometimes I need a form to work off of. Sometimes I need almost as a greebly, like, I just need to stick a weird shape onto here. I did actually vacuum form these for one project. And in that vein, I bought some of these random, somewhat vacuum formed pieces as well. I bought some half rounds of these same ones, and I actually already used them in the cool movable masks that I made with Mal.
Oh,
so nice. Those were like my eye pieces straight from Japan. Obviously, I love me some
gems.
some bling. Yeah. So I was like, well, why wouldn't I get this? Of course I want this.
Those look so edible. Right? Like that just screams ring pop
Jen,
to me.
Don't eat them. I mean, maybe eat them. I don't know. And then, of course, they had some capsule machines. So I got some very fun. I got DeLorean and I got a little ET. And I love that, but they had different positions of him. So I'm just really happy that I got the like.
Oh, so this is like one of the coin, like the, I called them the bubble.
Exactly.
I don't know what
they call them like capsule or I can't remember the proper word for it, but yeah.
Yeah, that was always at the end of the grocery store trip as a kid, like, Mom, can I have quarters? So you can go get whatever's in the bubble machine.
So this wraps up everything from Hans. And then what I do have is some goodies that I got from Tamiya.
Okay, so Tamiya.
Tamiya.
What is the Tamiya store like?
Kevin. The Tamiya store was great. They had different sections. They had a model kit section. They had a painting section. Yeah. And then they even had another level where it was, you make these, I don't know the word for it. It's not slot cars, but it's somewhat like little racing cars.
Oh.
And so they have like different fiberglass shells you can do. Cool. And they had a workshop. So like, if you participated in these sort of car making, you could go there, set up at a bench, you could work on your car, and then they had a little racing section.
That is so cool.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun to just go watch for a little bit.
I love a store experience where you can actually not just buy the things, but you can actually like work on stuff and see them being used. Like,
right?
That's
I
so
wish
fun.
they had a section for model making. I would have sat there and done that, but you know. So of course I had to get a bag. I always need a bag.
Be happy, stay happy with Tamiya. Oh, I will stay happy. Thank you.
Again, I'm always transporting things around, so having an extra bag. I like to buy things that are useful. In that same vein, I just bought an apron because I can never have enough aprons. I'm always getting filthy in my work, so yeah.
Nice.
Got a little Tamiya apron. It has pockets. That's nice. Then all the good stuff. So,
ooh.
Most of this is paint related.
So I'll try to, let's see, try to group. So these look like the same object?
Yeah.
Or
so here are, we've used some products like these before on some model behavior videos. So this is a diorama texture paint. This one is a pavement effect, and this one is a snow effect.
Ooh.
And Norm and I have used some products like these before, but from different companies. I've never used Tamiya's before. I actually didn't know they made them. So I bought this purely to be like, well, what's this one like? Like, how does it work? What's the consistency? Do I like it more or less? So that one is, you know, TBD.
Yeah.
We'll
so
see.
This is a like paint and texture dimensional thing.
And you know what? I haven't opened it. I'm kind of curious to see like how thick it is.
I'm honored that you're cracking the seal with.
Oh yeah, so that's exactly what I was hoping for. So the snow effect is quite thick and a little bit gritty. Yeah, you can see. So this one is, it's almost like a model paste that you can slather on, and it's going to get you that snow effect quite easily and quickly.
Nice.
I love that. And I'm assuming the asphalt is nearly identical, but just dark. So that one is going to be fun to use. Next time we need to do a little diorama. Of course, just random pencils. It just says, I like Tamiya. Can never have too many pencils in the shop. Here are some micro paintbrushes. Like so tiny.
A few bristles.
Yeah, it is maybe one of the smallest paintbrushes I've ever come across. And my hope is that because Tamiya is such good quality, these ones will hold up. The only tiny paintbrushes I've used before have just not lasted. You know, they have like 3 hairs on them, and after you've used it once, the hairs go from like connected to just like all sticking out. And
any paint gets in the ferrule.
Yeah. And then that's not going to be useful for any detail stuff. So I have high hopes that these will, you know, hold up really well. I will report back on that one. These are some weathering sticks. Now, I'm very excited. Actually, I think all of these are weathering sticks. The difference is, so this one just is weathering stick, water-based type. And is this one an oil one?
It doesn't say.
Oh, you know what the difference is? This one I think I got at Hans. This one is Tamiya.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah.
And I've tested some of these out before. I think, yeah. Oh, that one's at least
Mr.
open.
Weathering Liner.
Mr. Weathering Liner. When I pulled these out to test them, I loved them. It is a really nice consistency. So as you can see, I've got, this one is sort of a taupe color. This one is a white. It reminds me of like an oil pastel.
Yeah.
But also a bit dry. I don't know if I'm like, here, let me use the
Like,
cardboard.
here, you can use my hand.
Let's see. Here's some cardboard. Of course, this is the wrong color for it,
Yeah.
but yeah, it really comes out. It comes out like an oil pastel, but yeah, and you can feel it. It has like that oily texture to it, but it's got a really matte, fine finish. I really like this one. And then let's try a color that'll show up. Maybe this white. Oh, you got a red. Try that one.
Let's see. And it looks like this one you could actually sharpen because it's a pencil.
Yeah, whereas this one I think is like a crank, like a lipstick. Ooh, yeah. And that one's a bit more like, I guess more like a colored pencil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you want to try?
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
So you would use this in, like on a miniature, I mean, kind of like what they're showing here, to, after the paint is applied, to go in and then add like weathered high points and well,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be perfect for like kind of rubbing sideways on something to pick up a texture, or to like outline, you know, a decal that you've put on, highlight, you know, a control panel on your model, like anything that you need to just add some little bits to. That's why I went ahead and got all of the colors that they had because I was like, I've never seen these before. I think they'd be really useful. And I want to make sure that I have all the colors I'm going to need because if I can't find any more, I need to have them now.
So you could, in theory, like with the pencil one, you could like sand down the edge so you'd have a wider surface to like rub with. Is this a format that, like, have you seen weathering sticks in this format?
You know, I don't think I have. I've obviously used things like charcoal and graphite before to weather things. So I have used something in this form, but it wasn't marketed for this purpose.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sure any of our hardcore like model makers out there who do kits and things have seen these before, and I'm just late to the game. In the studio environment, it's not something I've come across. So I got very excited. I would say the biggest difference between these two, since I'm like looking at them now and like kind of comparing, this one is much softer and much more, there's like a wetness to it. Like like I said, it feels a little bit more like an oil pastel, whereas this one would be closer to, I want to say a chalk pastel, but it's not, it doesn't really come off at all. So it's more like a colored pencil. So that would give you the idea of what would be appropriate to use where. This obviously is also not as sharp of a point, so you're going to need to have like a wider surface area for that. But I'm kind of excited to use some of these. I need to have a weathering project come up that I can test all these out. And I think that is everything that I have got.
What a haul. This is really interesting because I've never traveled to Japan.
Well, so one of the things I noticed in Japan is that when people like to do something there, they go all in. So there's a lot more specialty shops and places for you to support your passion and your hobby. So I really liked to be able to go somewhere and feel surrounded by all the things that I liked because it was a passion that I shared.
Yeah.
So that was a really unique experience and something that I cherished and that I don't necessarily get to have here.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think there are places, like I'm thinking of like Lego store when you go in and it's just like, all the things, full immersion. But there are very few places here where you can go in person and have a shopping experience where it's like full immersion in that particular focus area.
Right? Well, and especially as I'm sure a lot of you at home have seen, our model and hobby shops are closing more and more.
Yeah.
And just like with that Olfa blade, like I didn't know I needed it because I didn't know it existed. So if I don't have somewhere to go to see all of the things I have available to me, then I don't know that there's an easier way to do it or there's a better product for it. So it's just a fun, enlightening experience to get to really open your eyes to more things.
I love that. Well, that was such a good haul, and thank you for sharing it with me. We need to cook up some more collaborations for this channel and use some of these things.
Exactly. We're gonna come up with a project to do all of this.
Yes, TBD. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in the next Tested Team videos.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you guys so much for watching that video. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you we have some excellent merch. We have a 5-pack of demerit badges for sale right now at tested/store.com. We've got the I hung it off of level demerit badge, the I built the chair backwards demerit badge, the I hit my thumb with a hammer demerit badge. We've got the stapler in my finger demerit badge, and my favorite, I stuck the duct tape to itself demerit badge. Get yours now, tested/store.store. Tested-store. Tested. It's right here. There. Just click there.